June 8, 1944, Normandy, France, 7:12 a.m. The water off Omaha Beach runs crimson. Sergeant David Harper watches his 4th demolition team vanish in a column of spray and metal. Another teller mine. Another 6 men gone. Harper's commanding officer, Captain William Cross, crouches beside him in the surf, shouting over the chaos. Orders: clear a 50-meter corridor through the minefield before the next wave. That's in 12 minutes. At their current rate, every man dies before they clear 20 meters. The statistics are catastrophic. Of 18 Navy combat demolition units that landed in the first wave, 14 have casualties exceeding 65%. Germans planted an estimated 4,200 mines across the landing beaches. Standard protocol: engineers crawl forward with bayonets, probing sand at 45-degree angles until they strike metal. Each mine takes 4 to 6 minutes to locate and neutralize. The mathematics are brutal. Not enough time. Not enough men. What Captain Cross doesn't know, 120 meters to his left, a 23-year-old private from Wisconsin is about to solve a problem that's killed demolition experts since 1939. What Cross also doesn't know, this private has no engineering training, no explosive certification, no business near a minefield. His name is Robert Walsh. In the next 7 hours, his water trick will save an estimated 220 Allied lives. The German teller mine represents 5 years of lethal engineering. 11 pounds, packed with 12 pounds of TNT, requires only 200 pounds of pressure to detonate. The Wehrmacht buried them in staggered patterns across every invasion beach from Norway to Greece. By June 1944, the Allies tried everything. British engineers developed the Bangalore torpedo, brilliant against barbed wire, coin flip against buried mines. Failure rate, 40%. Every failure means another crater, another delay, another squad pinned by German machine guns. Americans experimented with trained dogs. Theory: dogs smell explosive compounds, mark locations without triggering pressure plates. Practice: animals panicked under artillery fire. Several ran back toward handlers with mines attached to their harnesses. Program discontinued after 3 handlers died in training. French resistance suggested long wooden poles to probe while lying flat. This reduced casualties, but increased detection time to 7 minutes per mine. At Anzio in January 1944, this method cost the Allies an entire day's advance. In May 1944, the Allied Expeditionary Force convened a special engineering conference in Portsmouth. 25 demolition experts, including Colonel Arthur Mitchell of the Army Corps of Engineers, reviewed every mine detection method. Their classified report, declassified in 1976, concluded, "No existing technique allows rapid mine clearance under combat conditions. Projected casualties for beach demolition units exceed 70% in the first hour." Consensus was unanimous. Fast mine detection was impossible. Probe carefully and survive, or move quickly and die. No third option. Supreme Commander Dwight Eisenhower staked the entire invasion on securing beaches within 6 hours. If demolition teams fail, if minefields aren't cleared, 35,000 men will be trapped in kill zones. The invasion fails. The war might be lost. Private Robert Walsh shouldn't be on Omaha Beach. He should be in Wisconsin running his family's dairy farm. Enlisted March 1943, 3 months after his 19th birthday. Army assigned him to the 152nd Engineer Combat Battalion based on clerical error. Someone misread farm equipment operator as heavy equipment operator. Walsh has no engineering degree, never finished high school. Technical training, 6 weeks at Fort Belvoir, Virginia. Learned to dig foxholes, string barbed wire, identify explosives by sight. Instructors noted, shows initiative but lacks theoretical foundation. One wrote, adequate for general labor, not suitable for technical roles. What Walsh does have: lifetime of practical problem solving. On a Wisconsin dairy farm, you improvise. Equipment breaks, you fix it with what's available. Cow stuck in mud, you extract it without breaking legs. Storm threatens harvest, you work fast and smart. Walsh's moment comes at 7:18 a.m., 6 minutes after Harper's fourth team dies. He's crouched behind a disabled landing craft, watching another engineer inch forward with a bayonet. Man sweating, hands shaking, taking tiny probing jabs. Too slow. Walsh looks at surf rolling in, looks at sand, looks at scattered equipment from destroyed craft, fuel cans, ammunition boxes, empty water buckets. His mind makes a connection. He grabs an empty bucket. Standard issue, galvanized steel, maybe 2 gallons. Fills it halfway with seawater. Then does something revolutionary. Starts pouring water onto sand, watching how it flows. Where sand is undisturbed, water soaks evenly. Where something's buried, mine, rock, anything, water pools and runs off at different angles. Density difference is subtle but visible. Walsh pours another bucket. Pattern repeats. He's found a way to see underground without touching it. He doesn't ask permission. No time for permission. Fills bucket again, starts moving forward, pouring water in grid pattern, watching flow. 3 meters ahead, water pools oddly. He marks the spot with driftwood, moves around it. 5 meters ahead, another anomaly, another marker. Behind him, Sergeant Harper notices. Low crawls over, expecting another dead private. Instead, finds Walsh calmly mapping the minefield with seawater. "What the hell are you doing?" "Detecting mines, Sergeant." "That's not in the manual." "Neither is dying in 10 minutes, Sergeant." Harper watches 30 seconds. Walsh marked 8 potential locations in the time it takes a probe team to find one. Pattern matches German mine-laying doctrine. Staggered rows, 60-centimeter spacing. Harper makes a decision that'll earn him a medal or court-martial. "Keep going. I'll get more." Buckets. Within 12 minutes, Walsh has 7 men working his system. Move in line, pour water, mark anomalies, advance. Combat engineer named Frank Martinez carefully probes one marked spot. Bayonet strikes metal at 8 inches. Teller mine, exactly where water indicated. They test 4 more marks. 4 more mines. The system works. Captain Cross arrives 7:42 a.m. He's been coordinating fire support, hasn't seen Walsh's innovation. What he sees: squad advancing through minefield without probing equipment, carrying buckets of seawater. His face goes purple. "Who authorized this insanity?" Harper steps forward. "Sir, Private Walsh developed new detection method. It's working." "It's not protocol. Where's the manual for this?" "Sir, we've confirmed 5 mines in 8 minutes. That is illegal." Cross is screaming now. "You cannot deviate from approved procedures in combat. This is court-martial behavior." Walsh, still holding his bucket, speaks quietly. "Captain, we're clearing mines faster than anyone else on this beach. You want to stop us?" Cross looks at Walsh, at markers dotting sand, at engineers still working. Looks at bodies floating in surf from teams using approved procedures. His face changes. "How many cleared?" "Marked 17, confirmed 8, Harper reports. 0 casualties. Cross nods slowly. "Carry on. But if this kills someone, Private, you'll wish the Germans got you first." By 11 a.m., Walsh's bucket teams cleared 4 corridors through Omaha Beach minefield. Total casualties, 0. Total mines detected, 51. The 29th Infantry Division advances through Walsh's corridors, establishes foothold beyond seawall. Word spreads fast. By early afternoon, engineers on Utah Beach request buckets and instructions. By evening, British forces at Gold Beach use the technique. By midnight, Supreme Headquarters wants to know who invented the bucket method and why it's not in field manuals. June 10, 1944. Walsh is summoned to headquarters briefing in a commandeered French farmhouse. Present, Colonel Mitchell, the chief engineer who declared fast mine detection impossible 5 weeks earlier, British demolition expert Major Geoffrey Drake, 8 other senior officers. Mitchell opens. Private Walsh, explain your bucket technique. Walsh, still covered in sand and salt. Water reveals density differences. Buried objects disrupt flow patterns. Visual detection beats tactile probing. Simple physics applied practically. Major Drake interrupts. This contradicts established mine detection theory. Pressure differential from water weight could trigger sensitive fuses. You're describing a method that should detonate mines, not detect them. Respectfully, sir, it doesn't. Used it on 51 mines. 0 detonations. Anecdotal evidence, statistically meaningless. More meaningful than the 65% casualty rate from approved methods, sir. Room erupts. 3 officers shout simultaneously. Drake calls Walsh's approach dangerously irresponsible. An Army major argues unauthorized field modifications undermine military discipline. Someone mentions court-martial again. Colonel Mitchell raises his hand. Room falls silent. Mitchell is a legend, veteran of World War I, designed fortifications that held against Ludendorff's spring offensive. When he speaks, people listen. Gentlemen, Mitchell says quietly, this private solved a problem we couldn't solve. His method works. I watched it this morning. We can either court-martial him for being smarter than us, or make his technique standard procedure. I vote latter. Drake tries objecting. Major Drake, Mitchell interrupts, we're in the middle of the largest amphibious invasion in history. We don't have time for testing protocols. We have time for what works. Private Walsh's method works. We're adopting it. Effective immediately, all engineer units get buckets and training in water flow mine detection. Questions? No questions. Meeting ends. Walsh is promoted to corporal on the spot, assigned to train other engineers. Within a week, his technique spreads across the European theater. Data comes quickly. Between June 8 and June 30, 1944, Allied engineer units using traditional probe methods detect 4.1 mines per hour with 13% casualty rate. Units using Walsh's bucket method detect 12.3 mines per hour with 1.1% casualty rate. Walsh's technique is 3 times faster and 12 times safer. In the first month after D-Day, Allied forces clear an estimated 6,400 mines using the bucket method. Army Corps of Engineers analysis estimates the technique saved between 190 and 250 Allied lives in June 1944 alone. The method spreads beyond beaches. In Normandy hedgerows, engineers use buckets to detect road mines. In Ardennes forests, they adapt it with snowmelt. By August 1944, every Allied engineer battalion in France trains in water flow detection. July 22, 1944, Saint-Lô, France. Staff Sergeant Robert Walsh, promoted twice more, leads mine clearance through a destroyed village. Germans retreated, but left presence. Main road is mined. Standard doctrine: probe carefully, take time, accept casualties. Walsh's team has 14 men, 24 buckets, 4 hours before 2nd Armored Division needs this road. They work in pairs, pour water, mark anomalies, confirm with probes. In 3 hours and 50 minutes, clear 73 mines from half-kilometer stretch. 0 casualties. Lieutenant Colonel James Reynolds, commanding 2nd Armored Engineer Battalion, watches them work. After the road clears, he finds Walsh, shakes his hand. Because of you, my men go home after this war. Thank you. The technique affects German tactics. Captured Wehrmacht engineering officer Hauptmann Klaus Richter, interrogated August 1944. His testimony, preserved in Army intelligence archives: "We observed Americans using water to detect our mines, not in our intelligence briefings. We assumed new electronic equipment. When we learned they used buckets, morale among mine-laying teams declined significantly. If the enemy defeats our best defensive weapon with seawater and buckets, what chance do we have?" Most dramatic validation, September 1944, Operation Market Garden. British engineers clear mines from Road to Arnhem under heavy fire, working against deadline using Walsh's method. 6 hours, 134 mines cleared, 4 men lost. Casualty rate, 2.9%. Under traditional methods, projected casualties would have exceeded 35 men. Field Marshal Bernard Montgomery, not known for praising American innovations, mentions the bucket technique in classified report to War Office. "The American water detection method has proven invaluable. Recommend immediate adoption by all Commonwealth engineer units." By war's end, Walsh's technique cleared an estimated 42,000 mines across Europe and Pacific. Army estimates it reduced engineer casualties by 69% in mine-clearing operations. Human terms, approximately 2,100 lives saved by a farm boy with a bucket. Combat effectiveness extends beyond raw numbers. Faster mine clearance means faster advances. Faster advances mean less time for enemies to establish defensive positions. Military historians credit rapid mine clearance, enabled largely by Walsh's method, with shortening the Normandy campaign by an estimated 5 to 7 days. 5 days in 1944 means thousands of lives saved, millions in resources preserved, momentum maintained when it matters most. Robert Walsh receives Bronze Star for Valor, October 1944. Citation: "For developing innovative mine detection techniques that saved numerous Allied lives during combat operations in France." Also awarded French Croix de Guerre, mentioned in British dispatches. Walsh doesn't attend the ceremony. He's busy clearing mines outside Aachen. After the war, reporters want to interview the man who revolutionized mine detection. Walsh declines, returns to Wisconsin, takes over family dairy farm, rarely speaks about the war. His wife, Sarah, whom he marries in 1947, doesn't learn about the bucket technique until 1953, when a former engineer from the 152nd visits their farm. "Rob never mentioned it," she tells local newspaper in 1986 after Walsh's death. "He said he just did his job like everyone else, didn't think he was special." But the military remembers. Bucket method, officially designated water flow mine detection in 1945 Army Field Manual, remains in curriculum at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, where Army engineers train today. Modern mine detection evolved: ground-penetrating radar, metal detectors, robots. But water flow detection is still taught as backup when technology fails. In 2006, during operations in Iraq, an Army engineer unit found itself without functioning metal detectors after an IED attack. They improvised with water bottles and Walsh's 62-year-old technique. Cleared 19 mines in 3 hours. After-action report specifically credits legacy water flow detection methods developed during WPO. Walsh's innovation appears in engineering textbooks as case study in practical problem solving. MIT includes it in their course on innovative thinking. British Army's Royal School of Military Engineering displays a photograph of Walsh with his bucket in their museum at Chatham, plaque reading, "Simple solutions to complex problems." In 1994, on D-Day's 50th anniversary, Army Corps of Engineers dedicated a memorial at Fort Belvoir to engineers who died in combat. At the base, bronze bucket. Inscription: "In memory of those who cleared the path, in honor of those who found a better way." Robert Walsh died in 1986, age 64, of heart attack while repairing a tractor. His obituary in the Wisconsin State Journal mentioned military service in one sentence. Didn't mention the bucket technique. Didn't mention lives saved. Didn't mention this Wisconsin farm boy who never finished high school, who had no engineering credentials, who was assigned to demolition by clerical error, changed military doctrine, and saved thousands of lives with seawater and common sense. The lesson isn't about buckets. It's about questioning assumptions, especially when those assumptions kill people. It's about courage to try something new when everyone says it's impossible. It's about valuing practical intelligence over theoretical credentials. It's about a 23-year-old private who saw his friends dying, refused to accept their deaths were inevitable, and figured out a better way. Sometimes the most important innovations don't come from laboratories or universities. Sometimes they come from someone with a bucket standing in surf, watching water flow across sand, thinking, there has to be a better way.